Hi everyone, this is Table 4. I am Matthew.
I'm Connor.
I'm Gavin.
And I'm Gibson.
And today we will be streaming our Sunday in review. We are going to be talking about Sly Cooper, and then shortly afterwards, for a very brief amount of time, we're going to be talking about this past week and what we did and how we felt and loved things. Just kidding.
I love a lot of things.
Including Sly Cooper?
Dude, I love Sly Cooper.
That transition.
Honestly, though, Sly Cooper is such a good game series.
It was a good game series.
Still is, Gibson.
Now they're on to movies.
They're about to make a movie, and they just had a game come out not too long ago.
It's a good game, but it's not my cup of tea.
It's definitely my cup of tea. It's got like two little cubes of sugar and some cream. I'm like,
You only use 2 cubes of sugar?
in my tea. In my tea.
What was that?
Don't question my tea.
I mean, I'm questioning.
Does Sly drink tea?
No.
No.
No, I'm going to go with no.
The way the narrative for the first game makes it sound is like he doesn't grow up in the U.S.
No.
Doesn't he live in Europe?
He lives in France.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't drink tea in France?
I mean, I don't know what they drink in France.
Yes, they drink tea in France.
Wine and
see.
cheese.
Wine. You drink wine as a kid.
And cheese.
I
You
see.
drink cheese.
Yeah.
Alright.
Moving
So,
on.
what
Yeah,
kind
really.
of game is Sly Cooper?
I don't know. You tell me, Gibson.
Well, you see, it's
Still.
kind of like Splinter Cell or Metal Gear Solid, I would say.
Oh my god.
The first
See,
game is sort of like
The first game, I would agree, is kind of similar to a Splinter Cell or a Metal Gear,
Mixed with comic books.
mixed with comic books
And animals.
and animals. It's so cheesy, it's hilarious. So, Sly Cooper, right? He's a kid, and he's a raccoon, of course, because this is about the thieviest raccoonist. And if you didn't put that together, there might be a little bit of a problem.
I mean, it's
But-
just a subtitle.
It's just a subtitle, don't worry about it. So he's a raccoon, and his whole family are all thieves, but they're not like stealing like in the urban neighborhoods or anything. They steal from like kings and other thieves, and they, yeah. Why you give me that look?
From like the cutscene, it says they only steal from other thieves.
Yeah.
They never really
Yeah.
mention like
Kings are also thieves, though. They like showed a king.
yeah, they're one of them.
I know, but it does emphasize that they only steal from
It
other
does say that
thieves.
they
Yeah.
steal from other
He is
thieves.
one of these.
They do steal from kings too.
Yeah.
Kings are thieves.
Not all kings
Okay.
are thieves. But
Certain-
All thieves are
Anyway.
kings.
They live like
Alright,
kings.
That's a great idea.
alright. So,
And so they all steal from other thieves, and they have this sick book full of these techniques. It's mostly parkour. It's mostly parkour.
Mostly
Did they
parkour.
say parkour?
No,
Parkour.
but but it's mostly parkour.
Has the book ever been released?
I mean, not in the U.S.
Oh.
But so there's one copy of the book that hasn't been released anywhere. One copy of the book, and Sly Cooper's dad has it. And the way the cutscene puts it, you know, they're just chilling one day. Sly Cooper's sitting on his dad's knee, and I think his dad's smoking a pipe. And all of a sudden, they get like a knock, knock, knock on the door. Like, who's that? Right? Boom! It's the baddies. They bust in. They kill Sly Cooper's dad. They tear up the book, and instead of like destroying it, they like tear out the pages and then just like hold on to him. Because without that, the game wouldn't have a plot.
It's important knowledge. It's useful.
why didn't they just
They don't
take the
use
book?
They don't use any of the
That's
knowledge.
the thing. Like, they just take it.
They just like, nice. They like put it in a file cabinet.
It's really stupid.
So then Sly's like living in an orphanage, right? Because he's got no parents. And then he meets Bentley and Murray. And Bentley's this super smart turtle,
There's
and
the hippo.
Murray's the hippo. So they in one of the cutscenes it shows they made a plan to steal some cookies. Murray ate all the cookies
Nice.
because he's a hippo. That's what they do.
Classic hippo.
They eat cookies.
That's their favorite food.
Can I just say, for the first, 20 minutes of playing the game, Sly Cooper, I thought, and, judge me hard on this.
I'm a judge.
I thought Murray was a walking walrus.
Dang it, Matt! He didn't even
What?
have tusks. They didn't-
Yeah, but his cheeks are, so, floppy or whatever, and it's, they're really big, and it's, I thought he was a walrus.
Matt, I'm judging you so hard right
I
now.
asked
Did he have, flippers?
No.
Didn't think so. rhetorical question, but I appreciate both of you answering.
I'm pretty curious how the mental bridge connected Murray with Walrus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't worry, there's Walrus later.
Is it?
Not in
Oh,
this
yeah.
game. But
Somewhere in the world.
Walrus. Okay, so after they steal the cookies, not much happens in the way of the cutscenes. They just kind of grow up. But then Sly Cooper's like, you know what? I want that book back. So that's what the game's about. You go collect the book.
Is it? Oh, that's just the first game, though, right?
That's the first game.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus.
Yeah.
But there are these thieves, these other thieves, the people that came and stole the book and everything, that have other plots that they're trying to get done and everything, and you foil what they're doing while stealing back the pages of your book.
Like the first level is Raleigh the Frog, and this is a very froggy frog. He's got like the super long legs. It comes like over his head.
What's a not froggity frog?
One that's not a frog.
Oh.
A toad.
Yeah, a toad. He's also got this top hat. That's irrelevant.
It's only his defining characteristic other than being a frog.
I think his. You got me, but so he's like a pirate, right?
Yar.
Yar. Like apparently, from what the cutscenes tell us, he's this posh rich boy who got bored with the rich life. So he went out on the high seas plundering booty.
It's so stupid.
It's pretty stupid.
I mean, he was bored of the rut, man. He was like, I want some of this pirating action. So he was like the most feared pirate. Like Blackbeard doesn't exist, but I bet he'd be afraid of Raleigh. So he's over there being a pirate and such, and you bust into his place and basically beat him up. You don't kill him because this is a kid's game. You can't be doing that.
He just retires.
He just no, he gets arrested.
Oh.
There's no retiring.
Well,
he gets
that's good.
arrested.
It's okay.
Hey, you haven't even mentioned the inspector yet.
Oh, she comes. Oh yeah, she's
She's
the
in the-
first level. I
Yeah.
skipped her.
Prologue.
Prologue, man. So Sly Cooper doesn't know who the Fiendish Five are yet in the first level. So he breaks
Wait.
into the police headquarters and he
Doesn't
steals
know
all
who
their
the people
files.
who broke
He
into
was-
his houses.
He was a kid,
He
man.
didn't know who they were.
He hid in the closet.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
little bitch.
Well,
and he's a
let's calm
kid.
down.
Yeah,
Let's
maybe,
calm
maybe
down.
emphasize that second one a little more than they are.
I mean, he was a kid, right?
Okay.
So he hid in the closet while people killed his family. It's not my business. So the first level you break
You're just
into...
playing the game.
I'm just playing the game, man.
Okay.
So he breaks into the police headquarters and he steals the Fiendish files. And then we get back to Raleigh the Frog. So he's running...
There's definitely a lot of like sexual tension between Carmelita Fox and.
and
Is that
Sly
ever
Cooper.
explained?
In the
What
first
do you mean
level.
explain?
Yeah, like
In the first
why
level,
they're
just-
he's like flirting.
Okay.
It's film noir, and you know what that is?
Yeah.
And like comic book film noir stuff, and that's just how film noir is.
I see.
The main character having a pseudo romantic relationship with someone he's really not supposed to is just a theme. It's a thematic device they use.
Yeah.
So that's just how it is.
It's
with
just like really
Carmelita.
weird. Like,
Because he's
Carmelita's
supposed to be
so
super charming
different.
and everything, and even though she's like, I'm doing my job and I'm going to arrest you because I'm the best inspector there is, his charm is going to win her over, kind of thing.
That sounds like it shouldn't happen at all. It shouldn't happen.
It shouldn't
at all.
happen at all.
I mean, it really doesn't.
Doesn't it happen like? I know we're not there.
What a
yet.
spoiler!
What a spoiler.
Wow!
I mean, you spoiled the beginning of the game. Told people his dad dies.
Dang it, man! That's the beginning of the game.
I mean, he has a point. If you can spoil the beginning of the game, why can't you spoil the end?
'Cause there's the middle.
Who needs the middle?
I mean, that what?
Who needs character development?
Can we shift away a little bit from plot right now and like kind of talk about some of the mechanics for
So-
Sly 1?
The mechanic, the main way the game is formatted is you have a hub world. In this case, in like the first level, you get Raleigh's Island, and in Raleigh's Island, there's like little portals to the actual levels. It's kind of like Crash Bandicoot. You ever play Crash
Portals?
Bandicoot?
I put
Not
it
like
up a
literal
little.
portals. Like
From what I saw, it was a map with like little dots, like on a pin board, and you looked at the location. You're like, I want to go there.
well, that's like the slow way to go. That's not exploring the hub world any.
Right.
Like
The
yeah,
hub
you can go to the
world
world and be
changes
like, I
depending on
picked
which
that
boss,
level. Huh?
The hub world changes depending on which boss you're doing before, right?
Yeah, because like the first hub world is Raleigh's Island.
Yeah.
So
all of the levels there have to do with Raleigh and
the
around his
machinery
island and
around the
everything.
island.
And then when you go on to the next boss, your hub world changes
Right.
and everything. And there are even some enemies in the hub world, right?
Right, there are enemies patrolling the hub world, keeping you out of trouble or in trouble. You're keeping you out of trouble. They're keeping you in trouble with their flashlights. By the way, the flashlight mechanic's the best mechanic.
It's the best.
Yeah. It like projects a little like shape onto the ground, and as long as you're not in that shape, you're in stealth. There's no like gradient. It's like I draw a square on the ground. If you're standing in that square,
I can see.
you're got. But even if you're right outside that square, you're fine. Okay, so with the hub world, yeah, Gibson, you can just click the map and go to the level, but that's boring. And you can't
Really?
find the goodies in the hub world,
Yeah.
like the extra lives or the lucky charms, which I'll get to later. But
Dude, there's cereal in this game?
yes, and it's delicious.
And then you gotta go find the milk and the bowl.
It's a whole ordeal. And some people ask, why don't you just use your mouth as a bowl? And to that I say, are you an animal?
I
To which they say
are
yes.
animals.
You're a raccoon. I'm like, don't talk to me. But anyway, you explore around the hub world and you find a level, and it is essentially a portal. You walk into a door, and loading screen happens, and you pop out on the other side of the door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go through that level
Then you
and
go
all
through
the
the
puzzles
levels.
and everything. And really, it's like a stealth platformer. That's how I would classify it.
So the stealth isn't really so important. You can just go in. In fact, it's pretty impossible to not just go in and bop people to death. That's really what you gotta do.
You mean stealth knockouts?
No.
those
I
are
mean,
in there.
they're facing you, just like hammering, and you walk up like, bop, and then they die. There's really no stealth involved outside of avoiding the lights. Like, enemies pretty much always are watching you. It's just they don't really care until you walk into their field of vision.
Sure.
Like, there's this one dude in the first level, he's got like these star shurikens he just tosses out. And you just walk up and he's like, whoop, 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 whoop. Whoop, 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 tossing shurikens. No one else comes to help him or anything. He doesn't call for backup.
He's just throwing.
You both know each other is there. He's just, being a kid's game villain, tossing out little stars.
And then it focuses around puzzles and everything, but not so much like thinking puzzles, more like go collect this so you
Yeah.
can advance kind of puzzles.
Yeah.
Which extends the game's playability a lot, but isn't necessarily fun.
Yeah.
Like every little, not in the hub world, but all the levels have these little clue bottles. And you have to collect all the clue bottles in that level to open the safe in the level. And that safe has a page from the Thievius Raccoonus.
You just need to get more abilities that you can use in game, which is pretty
Right.
nice. But you can only have one equipped at a time.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, it's like the triangle button does the ability, and the L1 and R1 buttons cycle through the equipped ability.
So does that mean like he doesn't ever learn the abilities? He's like, so before I hit you, okay, I've got it.
No, once he reads them, he's like, I know it, but he can't do it all the time. He can't do more than one move at once.
It's not like you learn a new button combination. They have a button set for the abilities that you've learned, and you can just choose which one you have active at that moment.
Like, one is a roll, and it's supposed to be like a way faster movement option. And one of them's like a combat dive, where he like spins the cane out in front of him. You can't do roll into dive. You gotta roll, stop, switch your move, and then dive.
Sure. So because of this pick and choose abilities, and they all sound sort of neutral, can you
There are some that are stupid and broken though.
stupid broken?
Like there's one that speeds you up like times 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's one that slows you down times 2.
Why do you want to get slowed down?
slow down?
I think he's slowing down the enemies actually.
Oh.
That's the more
I
useful.
mean, that's practically the same thing, though.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Slowing yourself down versus slowing
No,
down.
No,
slowing down
yourself
the
up.
enemies.
slowing
versus
them
slowing-
versus speeding yourself up.
Yeah. Which sounds like the same thing,
You
but
should do both at the same time.
But you can't.
stupid game.
Anyway, so in each level, along with the clue bottles, there's the key, the treasure key at the end of the level. That's what you're going to the level for. And each hub world is like split in half. So it's got half the levels in this part of the hub world and half the levels in this part of the hub world. And you have to get so many keys to unlock the second half of the hub world. So you go to the levels, you get like 3 treasure keys, you go use them on the thing, and that grants you access to part 2 of the hub world.
It's really like a collectathon.
It's pretty collectathon-y.
Yeah.
But then after you get all the treasure keys, you do the boss fight. And the boss fights are pretty fun in this
The
game.
boss fights are really cool, and they're really well done.
Except for the third one.
We don't talk about that.
We don't talk about that, except we're going to have
I
to.
was gonna say.
It's awful.
No, that one doesn't exist.
It had the potential to be great. But
We're
anyway,
gonna get to that point where we're like, there's no information on this. It's not even in the game.
It's not even in the game.
Move on.
glitch.
Totally don't have the Sly Cooper 3 picture pulled up or anything.
Not the
waiting.
third game,
I mean,
the third boss fight.
oh, I thought you meant the third.
I mean, yeah, the third game. No. But anyway, so the theme or the progression of each level is all really similar. Like you start off, you do the first mission to get into the hub world. Like there's an outside area that leads into the hub world area. So you do that, you get in the hub world, you do your thing, you break into the second part, and about the time you break into the second part, those levels all have a part where the villain like comes over the loudspeaker like, "Hey guys, I know some guys here is stealing my stuff. You guys better be on your watch." And then you're just like, whatever, I just killed you guys.
Bopped them.
You bopped them good with the cane. So then you move on, you complete it, you go to the boss fight, and when you beat the boss fight, it always happens the same way. It's always so funny. Like, you kill him, or you bop him, you take your piece of the book, and then the ending cutscene happens. And the ending cutscene is always like, Inspector Carmelita Fox busted in, but we slipped out just in time. But she took villain as a consolation prize. It's always so silly.
It sounds really annoying.
Because it's just like, it shows them like so close together. Like, they'll be walking on a bridge and they'll be like hanging out under the bridge, like, oh, they'll never find me here. But that's how each hub world goes. You do first half, you do second half, you do boss fight, and then Carmelita catches them. She like arrests them because you don't care if you get arrested. Like, you're just there for your book, man.
I don't know whether or not it's really been talked about or whatever, but like, so was it in the second game or in the first game that or is this just all the time? I know my least favorite part, because it was always so scary to me, of any Sly Cooper game was reconnaissance. I hate it. Like, it was
that
such a...
starts in the second
Yeah.
game.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And I love it.
It's like, it's a really cool mechanic, but it always scared me as a kid.
That's like kind of the point. It's high tension.
I mean, I get it.
It's supposed to be stealth.
I know.
Stealth.
But it's really...
Be like raccoon.
Alright,
But-
skipping ahead too much, though.
I gotta say that the first game is really not that great.
No.
It's pretty
You don't
cool.
think so?
I don't think
I
so. Especially when
didn't
compared to the
like it.
second, third, and fourth game, it just doesn't hold up. It's kind of a little too formulaic. A little too formulaic. A little too simple. And like, even like little things like the character interaction is a little bit not great. Like, they don't act like they're bros. The three guys, Sly, Bentley, and Murray, they don't act like they're bros. Well, Sly and Murray act like they're bros, but Bentley just seems totally out of the loop on everything.
Yeah.
Guys, I drive the car. Oh,
No,
that's
Murray drives the car.
Yeah.
Gibson, pay attention.
Bentley's just the one on the computer in the car.
Bentley's the one that's supposed to be smart.
Bentley's a smart guy. But Bentley's always like, "Oh man, guys, what are you gonna do?" And Sly's like, Man, I'm just gonna be me. And then he goes and does it, and Bentley's like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
That's exactly how it goes down.
And then Murray's like, "Thumbs up."
Even if the first game kind of pales to the subsequent games, I really do like the weapon they gave Sly, the cane,
That's
because
such a cool
it
weapon.
enhances his movement.
It does enhance his movement. It allows you to like swing on hooks, and like there's some things where you can hook onto a ring and it pulls it down, activates some mechanism in the level that allows you to proceed. It's really creative.
I think it's what really separates Sly Cooper from the other I can run and jump platformers.
Or even
Crash Bandicoot spins. Sly Cooper bops with a cane.
That's just how it is.
That's just how it is. Spyro breathes fire.
Well, Spyro also rides a skateboard.
What games are you playing, man?
No,
It's in every game.
I gotta say, I've never played a Spyro game, but hearing
Actually,
that
I
he
have
rides a
to say that too.
skateboard sounds pretty cool. Sly Cooper does not ride a skateboard, sadly.
What else can we talk about for the first game as far as like mechanics and everything?
So there's one mechanic that I always found really silly, and I think it proceeds through all 4 games. Is like some of the levels would have like a hallway or something. Even like the spotlights that would be random, like not guards holding flashlights, but spotlights. It would be a yellow light or a yellow laser.
Yeah.
And if you trip that laser, it's like, whoa guys, okay, turn the alarm on now. And now the lasers or lights are red and they actually hurt you. It'd be like, Gibson, you're patrolling, right? You got your security system set up. I guess you're not actually patrolling. You're watching the cameras. And so you all of a sudden get an alert like, oh, something tripped our security monitors.
I pressed the hurt button.
You press the hurt button. You set it from stun to kill, except it's more like not do anything to kill.
Is it always a one-hit kill?
Yes, except for the Lucky Charms.
Oh.
The cereal comes into play now, Gibson. Lucky Charms are these little horseshoes that sit on your back and give you an extra hit, because everything dies in one hit.
Why did it sit on your back?
Because that's where your backpack is, man.
Oh, okay.
It's convenient.
You made it sound like you just had a big horseshoe hanging on your back.
I mean, it's on your backpack. It's not in your backpack.
Okay.
But everything dies in one hit except for the bosses, because that'd be too easy.
That'd be way too easy. That'd make the game awful.
Probably.
Although I saw the Raleigh boss fight.
The
and
Raleigh.
Raleigh.
The frog.
Yes. But
The only boss we've talked about.
when you fight him, he has this health bar on like the side of the screen, but it's deceptive because it really is just to hit him 4 times.
Yeah, the way it goes is like, with the Raleigh boss fight is, he's in invulnerable mode, jumping around for a little while, and as soon as he exits invulnerable mode, you bop him, and it drains like 25% of his health.
That's pretty silly.
And then repeat.
Do you know if in other games, it's not a big thing, but I'm always about like small little details. I jump in here and there, but like small little details like that. I hate it when it's like deceptive, like you said. It's just like in the other games for the bosses, they're like pellets or something for their health, where it like shows you maybe like this is how many hits it is, or like even doesn't even have a health bar.
I don't think so, because in the second, third, fourth games, it's no longer one-hit kills on everything.
Gotcha.
Sure. Although I feel like the first game would have benefited from just not having a health bar. I feel like it's just there to take up screen space and give the boss a portrait.
But the boss portrait's neat, because every time you hit them, it changes. They're like,
Oh, they get
hit.
like hurt in the portrait.
Yeah.
I do like that though.
That's
That's kind
neat.
of that's a neat little detail.
It's something on the screen to look at,
Yeah.
as opposed to something on the screen to not look at,
Like the boss.
like the boss. But all the bosses are really creative. Because there's like Raleigh the Frog, who was a pirate. He's a rich boy turned pirate. And the second one's my favorite boss. Is Mugshot, because he's like the little bulldog who sees the dog father, and he's like, man, I'm gonna get buff, because he got bullied. So he's like, I'm gonna get buff. And it just shows him like constantly getting these massive gains. And then he like beats up the bullies. But then at the end of his intro cutscene, he's like shooting off Tommies, and this guy like, bah, 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 bah. It's like, dude,
How did we get here?
you could have just shot the bullies. You didn't have to punch him out at all. But Mugshot runs a casino because
Yeah.
he's in
Dogtown.
Utah, I think. That's where all the casinos are.
Okay.
Okay.
But then, so, at the end of that, you bop him, Carmelita arrested, as usual. The third boss fight, or the third level, I guess, is Ms. Ruby's Swamp. And Ms. Ruby's Swamp is probably the best hub world. I love that hub world. It's too bad her boss fight is the worst thing ever made ever.
What makes the hub world so good?
It's
Let's talk about
just
the
so
boss fight.
atmospheric and awesome. It's like the music and all the little sound effects and all the enemies, really. I just love it. It's so
It was
good.
my favorite too.
It's really
I
good.
really liked it.
It's so much better than the other ones. The other ones are kind of generic. Like
The
dog,
game itself is kind of generic.
The game itself
honestly.
is
At
kinda
least the
generic.
first one.
but like Dog Casino has dog guards.
I would expect that.
But Ms. Ruby's Swamp has like these weasels, like voodoo weasels, because she's a voodoo artist, so I don't know what you call them. She's a voodoo lady. So she has like voodoo weasels, and there's like natural wildlife that's in there, like spiders, and like there's ghosts and shit.
I like
It's-
how ghosts is a natural wildlife of swamp.
Nah, see, I deviated. I was like, there's natural wildlife like spiders, and then there's ghosts. See, I separated it.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's ghosts, right? And then there's like voodoo creatures that they create, like zombie behemoths, and it's crazy.
Sounds like they just kind of like put a little more detail. Like, are there not really like more enemies than that? And the dog casino has dogs, and it's
No.
really
The
just.
first
Are there
one
different
has
types of
one
dogs?
enemy.
The first hub world actually has like some Cthulhu monster.
Oh God,
He's the flashlight guy.
that's scary.
He's got like octopus face. I'm like, that's neat. And then all the other ones are kind of boring.
Well, that is a
Dog
good
one is
question.
dogs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but that's a good question. What Gibson asked: is the dog casino like? Are there different kinds of dogs?
Well, yeah, there's different kinds of dogs. Like, there's the Dobermans with the flashlight, and there's the Dalmatians that throw playing cards, and then there's like the Bulldogs with the wrecking ball.
So it sounds like there's
So,
enough variation,
yeah,
even if they're
well,
all just
But they're
dogs.
all still dogs,
That-
and they all kind of still
that is-
look similar.
That is important because although they might function the same, like maybe would you say the Dalmatian throws playing
Those
cards?
playing cards.
So like, is there an enemy like that? Because I feel like this was Sly Cooper, and I think I remember it because I played some of the first game, and then I think I finished the second game. I don't quite remember, but like it seemed like all of the little grunt enemies fell into like an archetype that you could like section off for each hub world or something, or each
The
level.
flashlight
shooting
guys, the
one.
people that
Yeah,
throw
yeah,
stuff.
There's one that throws.
So, like-
there's one that flashlights.
Yeah, like the throwing playing card, does that like have a counterpart in Miss Ruby's Swamp?
Throwing stars.
Yeah, so I mean, it is important that they do feel different, even though they all fall under the same kind of archetype. Like, the fact that there's even spiders in the swamp, that makes me feel good. I'm glad to know, like, what is Miss Ruby, by the way?
Ms. Ruby's an alligator, crocodile, whatever lives in the swamp.
Wow.
It's-
You have to differentiate by their teeth. That'd be hard.
I don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with
You
it.
But-
don't check.
No, I'm not gonna check. But like the swamp level, they had one of my favorite levels too, like one of my basic levels. There's one level in there where you enter and it's like there's like an earthquake or something happens, like whoa, and Bentley's like, watch out, bro, might be something dangerous, and you're like, man, whatever. And you start running along, and all of a sudden this giant snake pops out, and it's like chasing you. It's a great level.
Is it a Indiana Jones run from the boulder level?
Kinda.
I hate this level.
I love it though, because
It's
it's a giant snake.
It's like almost the same thing as the we talked about this before, not on stream. It's almost the same archetype as the what's the Bowser level called? Like the end of New
Chase
Super Mario
bosses.
Bros. Yeah, those are gross.
Yeah, but this is the only one in the game.
Wait,
Oh.
does it change the camera where you're facing Sly and you're running towards the camera?
Yeah.
That's awful.
Well,
That's
you can turn it
so
around.
bad.
But
Oh,
it
yeah?
defaults it to facing you, but you can turn it.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
that's
if
not
the-
bad.
That makes it a little more
I
bad.
just- I dislike
it's
it
not
when-
it's not a hard level. It's not like the camera makes it so painful to to do the platforming.
Okay.
Besides, the platform basically boils down to hit X and then circle.
Hit X
That's-
and
there's
then
your
circle, or
platforming.
hit X or circle.
X to jump and then circle to land.
Oh.
Because, like, especially in the swamp, there's, like, a bunch of the branches and, like, little, I don't know if they're, like, spikes, but I don't want to call them spikes. Thorns, but they're giant.
And will impale
And, like,
you.
to land on those little branches or the spike, you gotta hit circle to do your super parkour move.
Okay.
So
I
you
understand that.
even if you were facing directly at Sly the whole time, it would just be hold forward or in the direction you're going and then hit X and circle until you win. The
Yeah.
platforming is not hard. But it was just a really cool change of pace.
Okay.
But what's not a cool change of pace is I call them arcade levels because they kind of suck.
Yeah.
Because you have your regular platforming levels where you're like, keys over there, go get it. And then there's ones like in the first level they had one like, you're in a submarine underground and you gotta break 50 chests with your submarine machine gun to get the key. But don't let these random crabs take a chest or else you don't get the key. And it's like, that's bullshit, dog. Like, what?
So wait. So let me get this. So you have a machine gun. And
You're in a submarine with a
Yeah.
machine gun. It's like a twin stick shooter section.
Okay.
And random chests just come falling from the sky, and you gotta shoot them. I remember they go.
Why are you in a submarine in the sky?
You're not in the sky. Did I say the sky?
You said
The
this. You
chests
said
are
the chest
coming
comes.
from
The
sky.
chests are falling from the
That
sky.
doesn't
And
make
you're
sense in the
underground?
sky.
You're underwater.
Oh, you said
You're in a
underground.
It's
submarine.
underground.
That's it.
Yeah. That's okay.
You're underwater
Yeah.
in a submarine. And chests are falling down, and when they land, you go bing, 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 bing. Pah. I remember that's the sound effect. But there are also these crabs coming out trying to take the chests. And I played the game again recently. It's not a hard level, but it takes so long to do because it's 50 chests you got to break while you're micromanaging killing the crabs so they don't take the chests. And if they take even one chest, hope you got time because you're doing that level over again.
Take the last chest.
Take the last chest, and it's like, I hate this game.
So,
But that's not the only kind of bad level.
maybe in a little bit we could transition to Sly 2 and the other games and stuff because we're already 30 minutes in.
Right.
Just like to keep it not
Moving.
short, but yeah,
Moving.
moving. Something I wanted to ask, and now that you brought up the arcade section, I was gonna ask it about the chase thing, the chase boss or whatever. But like something I have a really hard time with, just kind of keeping it general, I guess. I have a really hard time with some video games because they try to do so much, and a lot of it still doesn't focus on the core gameplay. And sometimes they'll do something, and they never bring it back up later on. It's like, hey dude, hey dog, do this task, and it's like, is this gonna help me later on? And it's like, just do it.
Well,
don't ask.
What do you mean?
So like the arcade thing that you had to do, like you're talking about the shoot 'em ups, the treasure chests.
Yeah.
Like, does that ever come back in Thievius Reckonis?
That type of level kind of happens again. Not exactly like that, but they have very different. All the arcade levels are pretty different.
Okay, so they reappear
They don't
later
reappear.
on. They don't reappear?
They don't, but they're similar.
No.
There's another section.
It's like
that's
a mini
similar.
game.
It is kind of mini game.
So he said arcade game.
Yeah.
So they have different types of arcade games for
Okay.
different levels.
Okay, well then, yeah, I don't like
Like
that.
there's not another level where you're doing a twin stick shooter,
Yeah.
shooting chests.
Okay, I can understand
But
That was-
all of them kind of fit into the hub world though. Like this one was on an island, a lot of water, so you go underwater and you get the key.
I can appreciate like that, like staying thematic to the level, like what you're doing and stuff. But like something that really bugs me is like when it kind of strays, and like it has to do with game length and like how long you want your game to be or how long you think your player is gonna log hours into it. But like when they have you do a task that's unrelated to your like normal natural doing, and it's just like, we're gonna make you do this, and it's like, well, why am I doing this? And it's just like, well, because story. And it's like,
Because you need the key.
you need the key, and I get that. I do get that. And some people tell me, and they're like, well, you don't want to be doing the same thing throughout the entire game, and because the game is formulaic, I can agree with that. Like the first game, if you were doing the same thing over and over and over again without any variation at all, I probably would have stopped. Like I probably wouldn't have kept playing it. But I feel like I would like if like it was like related to your doing, like somehow they incorporated or like just changed the levels up. And I bet that's why like Sly 3 or like maybe Sly 4 is like better. Like maybe they have different stuff like that.
Even if it had been like that one level we're talking about, if it had been someone's trying to shoot you as you're like platforming to go get chests,
Yeah.
if that had been better.
Yeah, that actually like like just platforming and you have to dodge stuff and you still have to go get the key, so it's still plot relevant.
There are levels though.
Right, but I'm just saying like the fact that they break away with like little mini games is like kind of a little annoying.
It's really just to break the platform level,
because they know that what they're doing is daunting.
Well, yeah, I can understand that. Like I said, but that goes back into like how many levels do we want? How long do we want the player to?
I'm agreeing with you entirely.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't think that they should have made it so platforming and formulaic the entire time.
Yeah.
That was where this game falls short for me.
Yeah.
And the fact that I'm not a huge comic book video game kind of person. I didn't like that
So
style.
you got your peanut butter in my belly.
But
You got your chocolate in my peanut butter.
the arcade
Why'd
level
you say
thing,
jelly and then you turned it to chocolate?
I don't know, man.
Dang it, man.
the arcade thing was a question I had because one of the main features I remember from Sly Cooper, other than the stealth, are the mini games. And I was like, does that happen in 2 or 3, or was that there from the beginning?
You said the arcade minigames? Or did
Yeah.
they show up in the other 2
Yeah,
games?
the mini games. Like, I remember the reconnaissance. Like, I feel like the second game was super formulaic too. It was like you had the reconnaissance, and then you had
Let's
the
go ahead and
mini game, and then you had the platforming, and then the boss.
switch over.
And it was always something. And sometimes the mini game was swapped out with a Murray fight. It's like I'm gonna beat people up now.
Yeah, but I feel like 2 was a lot better overall because they ditched the hub world into levels formula, and they just made a bigger, more like thorough hub world that
Almost like Sandbox.
almost like sandbox that
pretty
you
sandbox.
actually like did the levels in. Like in the first level of the second game, not including the prologue, in the first like actual boss level is like Dimitri the Lizard, and he's using. Well, let me explain the premise of the game. The premise of the game is so Sly in this one, he's beaten the Fiendish Five in the first one. He's beaten Clockwork, and Clockwork was the big bad of the first game. He like led the gang. So in this one, they beat Clockwork and Clockwork's parts, because he's like a mechanical owl who's like lived for 1 billion years because he hates things.
He hates.
He hates the Cooper family, and he lives off of hate because this is a comic book.
I'm sorry.
Do you find something humorous?
I do. I'm sorry. I just love that your explanation was he's lived for 1 billion years because he hates things.
Hate
sorry, go ahead.
sustains.
He hates the Cooper clan.
Yeah. Okay.
And so when they kill him, they take the police, when they show up, because that's the formula, they show up afterward. They show up, they take his parts, and then they put them in a museum for display because they're like this technological marvel and everything. They kept this guy alive for thousands of years. So they're put on display, but then they get stolen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Sly Cooper and the gang are trying to steal them so that they can hold on to him or destroy him so that he doesn't come back. They didn't steal him. They showed up to the place and it's like, they're already gone, yo. And so
Sucks to suck.
it sucks to suck. And so the premise of the game is getting the parts back from this other gang that has taken them.
Right.
So in the first level, you got Dimitri, this lizard who runs a nightclub, and he uses the tail feathers as a printing press. Because like these tail feathers will never wear out. Their alloy can go and go and go and go and go. That they're durable.
Okay.
So he's using
What do
that.
the tail feathers hate?
Every part hates something else specific.
That's what keeps them going.
Would you mind shutting up?
Oh man.
But anyway, so in this level, you go into Dimitri's whole nightclub office and you do the reconnaissance. You take the pictures and everything, which is really neat. And then you go back out into the hub world and you complete missions in the hub world. not to say you don't go into pieces of the hub world you can't always access, but a lot of the activity takes place on the main ground of the hub world.
Not so many loading screens like there were in the first.
Right, not so much. It's not so many loading screens, but
Was this on a different platform?
no, the first 3 games are all on PlayStation 2.
Okay. I thought the first game might have been on PlayStation. I couldn't remember. So it's not like it was.
It's not
some
like
system.
no system jump. It's just people kind of learned how to use the system better.
Okay.
But so one thing that they introduced in the second game, which I think really improved like the kind of the flow of it, instead of just going level key, level key, level key, open next part, level key, level key, level key, is it would set like you have 3 missions to do. Go do those missions, and then we'll show like kind of like it was a slideshow that would kind of like show you what all that you did meant, like what it accomplished and what it would lead into. Like when you took these pictures, they showed you a slideshow like, okay, dude, you took these pictures, and these pictures mean this thing. So now we're going to do these missions. And it tells you what the missions are, and then you go do them. And then you come back, and it's like, okay, dude, you did those missions. Here's what that means. Now we're going to do these missions. And by the end of it, you'd have like this whole grand scheme that you wouldn't have been able to make if not for all those missions you just did. Like, all those missions had information that led into this grand operation.
That's It definitely feels
If you paid
more
attention
thought
to
out.
the first game, it still had the same kind of effect. Like, in the first level, I remember there was one door that was locked, and by going to other places, it would unlock, like, part of this thing. Like, something was blocking it. Like, there was 3 rows, and by going to one level and finishing that, it would unlock one part of it. Remove that obstacle, and you had to remove the 3 obstacles in order to get to that level.
Yeah.
So it still had the same kind of thing going in the first game, but the second game incorporates it more into the story as far as why it's important rather than just, oh, I'm doing levels.
Yeah.
Why is it important? Because it is, champ. Keep going. But the second game's like, oh, because things, and it tells you.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
why.
story.
And
It's a
not even-
storyline.
It's not even just like, wasn't it Bentley that would like show you the slideshow?
Bentley
Like,
would like lead the slideshows.
Yeah, so like you do the reconnaissance, it's like I need you to find out this, this, and this for me, and it's just like, why, Bentley? And you give him the pictures that you took reconnaissance. He's just like, these are the consequences if we don't do these things right. It's like this is what we need to do, and it felt like its Band of Thieves is like actually did feel kind of like a thief. It was just like you had to like do all these tasks and stuff, and of course it's just like it didn't seem like work. It felt more like you were like a fun-loving thief, because Sly is. It's like, yeah, it just felt more thematic, and it made it feel
And then
more
like
thought
you were
out.
a band of thieves each
Yeah.
time they job.
Yeah,
Oh, especially because you could play as all the 3 people. Like in the first game, you can only play as Sly, but in Sly 2, you play as Sly, Bentley, and Murray, who all have like their own different play style. Like Sly plays pretty much just like he did in the first game, but he's a little faster, I think. But Murray, he doesn't have like any of that parkour stuff, man. He's got more
Beat him up.
HP, he hits harder. He's really just a boulder rolling through whatever level you're going through. But obviously that doesn't work for all the levels. You can't play him in some of the levels. But then there's Bentley, who's like, he's got like sleep darts and like detonating bombs instead of the non-detonating bombs, that everybody else has.
Mm-hmm.
But they all play a different way, and it made the game a little more fleshed out. It just felt better.
They figured out what they were really going for with the Sly Cooper series.
Yeah, Sly 2 was so good.
pretty sure that's the only one that I finished. Like I think about it more now. I'm like, yeah,
There's only one problem with Sly 4, or Sly 2, was that, like, some villains got way too much screen time, and some villains didn't get nearly enough.
I do remember that. It was like, I'm pretty sure Dimitri was just like the perfect amount to be your starting villain. It's just like, oh, that was really neat. And then you do the second level. I don't remember all of them. It's like you do the second level, and it was like one was way more fleshed out, and it was just like, oh my god, he was so evil. And then the next one is just like, I just bopped him.
Like, the way it was, like, level 1 was Dimitri. He was, like, perfect starting villain. I really liked his level. I could play through his first world over and over again and keep enjoying it. But, like, the second villain was, like, Rajan, the tiger. He was evil, ran a spice trade in India. But then you beat his level, and it's like, oh, he escaped the police. Also, he's got another clockwork piece. Get back at it, Tiger. And it's like, man, I just beat this guy. He wasn't even that cool. And I gotta beat him again.
It's like they're
He
trying
goes
to
to his
flesh out a
level
character
again.
that wasn't that cool.
Yeah. They tried to give him more screen time than he needed to have.
Yeah.
And it happened twice. They had 2 villains that did that.
What was the second one?
Jean Bisson, he ran like a fur trading operation in Canada.
Wasn't that that was the winter levels?
Yeah.
Oh, that was gross.
I didn't like the winter level so much. But that's just because I hate that archetype of the level.
Okay.
But that's another point.
Mhm. That and water.
But like, also the ending was kind of silly, because like, there was a Carmelita, who was the inspector in the level, and then there was also Constable Neela, who was a new inspector that was helping Carmelita Fox. But then like, ooh, plot twist at the end, she's evil. Whoa.
Constable Neela.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I know, right? This game only came out like a billion years ago. Don't worry about.
Years
Yeah, a whole.
on PS2.
Yeah.
That like a long time.
Yeah.
PS2's time.
But but then you get to the end and you don't know she's evil, obviously, because it wouldn't be a plot twist. You get to the last guy in this gang and you're like, oh no, I'm gonna beat you and we're gonna win the game. And then you beat him and it's like, by the way, I was evil the whole time. And you're like, dang it, I thought I finished. And then you gotta go fight the boss again.
Like, what was it? It would be like a perfect end to the game or something, and it's just like, I'm evil, and you're like,
I don't even want to say it would have been a perfect game because that last boss
Did she
kinda
have a
was
clockwork?
stupid.
I didn't mean.
She didn't have a piece, but she ended up taking all the pieces.
It's more like, I'm gonna let you guys do all the work, and I'm just gonna swoop in at the end.
Pretty
Just
much.
gonna reap the benefits.
She took all the pieces and rebuilt Clockwork, and then like fused herself into like the Clockwork body, and it became Clockla. It's Neela.
That doesn't sound
Clockwork.
good at all.
It wasn't very great.
Does she inherit the hate for the family?
Oh, just wait, Gibson. The reason, like, this is so silly. Clockwork has a hate chip. It's a computer chip. It's a hate chip.
Wait, a computer chip in Clockwork?
Yeah.
So,
So he's like-
That's not
He's
how
like
it-
straight up a robot in the second game.
Okay. That's not how Clockwork works.
No, not in the first game anyway. But in the second game, he's
He's
a
a
I
robot.
didn't realize it's his chip.
Yeah, at the end of the game, they take out the hate chip. And it's like, that was kind of really silly. But we'll let that one go. Also, at the end of the game, like, Bentley gets paralyzed.
oh yeah.
And that kind of, like, made the ending of the second game, like, so painful. Because, like, at the end of the game, Bentley gets paralyzed, and Murray's like, ooh, my buddy got paralyzed. And then, like, leaves the gang, and at the end, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's kind of like it's like a sour taste in your mouth, and then you're just like, there's gonna be a sequel, and it's like,
But the sequel is probably, I didn't like Slide 3 as much as I like Slide 2. Slide 2 is probably the best game in the series.
it's the only picture I could find. Sorry.
I like the whole Kitty Grand Theft Auto feel it had with the giant map.
Well,
It
that's
did.
what you.
Slide 3 does have big maps.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Way
Okay.
bigger than Slide 2.
which is nice. Which is really weird considering that Sly 1 had such small maps.
It did have really small maps.
And it's
The
not
maps just got bigger.
like the system changed or anything. They just realized, oh,
It
this
was
is a good
optimized.
system.
It was
We can
optimized
use
game.
this better and make a better game.
Oh.
Yeah. The art style, though, we haven't talked about that at all. I really do like the film noir art style, and you can see it a lot more on the art here.
I think it has to do with like shading and maybe even the outline. I
The
think
film noir.
well, oh yeah. Well, I'm just saying like the first couple of games didn't quite have. Some people like undermine shading or like not shading, outlines so much, and like look at how bold their outlines are.
It does help.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry.
Sly 3.
That's
Sly 3 is such a good game, but it's also not. Because it came after Sly 2, which was such a good game.
It was just hard to follow.
It was
up.
just hard to follow up on. Like, if Sly 3 had come first, it would have been so much better as a whole. But, like, because it came after 2 and everybody was expecting this huge thing, it kind of turned out only meh. So, Sly 3 comes out as, like, it opens up on this super secure island. And you hit start and you start the game and it's like, okay, so here's how it's going. This evil dude has our island, and on that island is a vault, and the key is the cane. Because, clever.
Yeah. Because it's the Cooper family vault,
It is
which
the Cooper-
has
it's
all
the
of their
Cooper
wealth
family
and
vault.
everything that Sly just didn't know about.
Yeah. Apparently he did not know about this vault at all in the past 2 games. Probably because his dad died before he could tell him. But, so now they found the vault. But the vault is...
You think it would be written down somewhere?
maybe it was
in
written
the
If they have a
Easter
book
eggs.
full of all of their techniques and everything, you think it would be written down that they have a vault.
It was just kind of silly that no one mentioned anything about it until
outside
now.
the vault?
If it's like their most prized possession, it's just
Why
like,
was it outside the vault?
Man, don't worry about that.
All these plot holes, man.
So, like, dude's trying to break into the vault, and he's not a Sly Cooper. He's not a Cooper Clan guy. He doesn't have the key. There's only one key. Sly has it. So he's trying to get in the vault. That's the prologue level, but you get booted out of there, and the whole game is like a flashback.
I remember that. That's obnoxious.
Because at the end of the prologue level, you're like getting squeezed out by this giant creature because the guy who wanted to get in the vault found you and was like, yo dog, that's not your vault. And you're like, yeah, that is, man. And he's like,
You
know
can't
what?
prove it.
I'm gonna choke you out. So he gets, so he gets
That's
this,
one way to
he gets
settle
this
it.
big creature,
Oh god.
and you're like, he's like choking out Sly, and Sly's like, oh man, my life flashed before my eyes, and then you play the game. And the way this game goes is, like in the first game, you were going to each level to get the pages. In the second level, you're going to each level to get the parts. In this level, you're going to each level to get a new partner for your assault on this island. And like each person has their own defined skill set that you need to get on the island. It's all really well explained, especially when it comes to the end and you play through the breaking into the island.
It's a really interesting story throughout all of the Sly Coopers. And I know people like flashbacks, that's so stupid. But with a film noir style, it's actually
It totally
pretty
fits.
common. And it does fit the film noir style.
I know it fits. It's just stupid.
Your hero is in peril and is remembering everything that got him into this situation.
Your hero is in peril, and it totally could have waited until the end of the game for you to show that he was in peril.
Well, don't worry, it comes back at the end. The flashback has to end, man.
I know, I get it, but then I don't get it.
It's good writing, especially for a film noir style.
Yeah,
Sure. Although, what do they gain from starting near the end? Other than trying to gain
That's-
intrigue, like,
yeah.
how did my hero get in this situation?
Yeah, that's always been like, I guess that's just like a personal appeal like turn off, but it's like, it's really annoying. It's just like, this is the situation you're in now, and then it's just like, and we're gonna set you back all the way back here. I'm just like, why didn't we either start and go forward with where we were at now and not have that be the ending, or start from the beginning and then just have the ending be the ending?
I've thought about how they did a flashback a lot, and I feel like if they had done it in a chronological manner, like they started at this point and then they went forward and you got to the end and then you did the end, I don't feel like it would have worked as well. Just because the beginning isn't so interesting of the story.
So they needed.
So they just needed.
They needed a
Ever
hook.
seen Slumdog Millionaire?
No,
No.
I haven't. Sorry.
It really just adds to the story to have. I think it would have added more if they went back to the situation before each time that they went back
Oh,
to
yeah.
levels and everything. That's what Slumdog Millionaire did. Because this guy is being tortured and questioned as to how he's winning Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and everything. And they flash back to how he knows each of the answers, some point in his life that happened. So I think that would have been more effective as far as flashing back to he's remembered someone
Yeah.
while he's in this situation, and it flashes back to the level that he had to get through to earn that person's trust to get them. I think that would have been more effective personally, but what it was going at is, oh my gosh, I effed up, and he's remembering the beginning.
Yeah. It's just, like I said, it's like, I understand it, especially with how you explained it just now. I definitely understood that way better than if I would have just, like, played it all the way through. I'm pretty, like I said, I'm pretty sure I stopped, like, halfway through or something. It's like, it's still just, like, it's a turn off to me, because, like, I'm all about the, tell me what's happening right now. I don't need to know what's happening later, because the later will be eventually now.
The only issue with, oh my gosh, there's much more thought there. Oh, got it. With doing the flashback at the beginning and not returning to it is that you forget that you're in a flashback.
Yeah.
kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
And that's what takes away from it.
I mean, and like I said, I can understand, like, the intrigue, or, like, you need a hook. I can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But then my counterpoint is really stupid, and it's like, just come up with a better plot line.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. If your intro is so uninteresting that you have to give a glimpse of the end,
The future, yeah.
to create that intrigue, it's kind of like movies that show large plot points in the trailer to make you interested in the movie.
That's like my only, like, counterpoint, though. Everything else, like, it's interesting, kind of, like, thematic with film noir. It's like all those points is just like, yeah, but just make a better plot.
I feel like it wasn't like, alright guys, our plot's bad, how do we fix it? I think it was, the beginning of our plot lacks gameplay. So, how about we just kind of show the beginning and then move the gameplay forward?
Yeah. Oh, you mean, like, okay, I see.
Because, like, the beginning of the story, like, how they find out about something is they just, like, talk to one of the guys in his dad's old gang. And he's like, yo, dog, you never heard about this vault? You should go do that. That's the beginning of the story. Is it just kind of, it's the base. It's like, yeah, here's what's happening.
Yeah.
But there's no gameplay to that. You don't, maybe you could have broken into the jail cell where the guy's in.
Yeah, didn't you, like, break into the museum in the second game or something? Like, to
In the
steal
second
back
game,
clockwork?
yeah, you broke into the museum,
It might
but
have
you
been-
also, in the third game, you also break into a jail in the first level, so it might have just been kind of like, we either cut this segment or cut this segment.
Okay.
One thing I feel like that they could have done was you breaking into, or trying to break into the island with everything you would have had at any game from a flashback. If you ever played Assassin's Creed, the first one, that's kind of what they did. Altair was the first assassin that you've ever played as.
Yeah.
And you had all of his abilities, first level.
That's actually really cool.
And then because you effed up, well, you didn't really f up. It was, you were in an awful situation. They stripped you of all your rank and made you a grunt. And you had to earn back all of your equipment and stuff.
I guess that's pretty cool.
And I feel like that would have been something else they could have done for an intro.
That archetype's really frustrating to me. They do that in Castlevania Symphony of the Night as well, where you start off fully leveled, and then it's like, oh, but then death takes away everything, and then you're nothing.
Well,
It's
so
like,
wait.
I was so powerful.
Well, like, fully leveled, does that mean, like...
Like, he had all of the vampire gear, he had the
Well, that's-
awesome Alucard sword, and then death comes, and he's like, I'm gonna take your armor pieces and everything and scatter it through the mansion. He's like, oh, now I just have a dinky dagger.
Well, like,
I'm
that's
not
what
cool anymore.
That's what I mean, like, was it, like...
It's a quest to become
Did
cool.
I meant, like, more, does it change the gameplay, or, like, were you just super beefy the first level?
Imagine playing a game and then being at the in-game status at the very beginning, and then
Right.
having it stripped.
Right,
You're
but I'm
super
saying,
beefy.
like...
You're super beefy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're just super beefy.
Yeah, that's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Super beefy, or, like, you had, like, different style weapons? That's all I need.
I mean, in the Castlevania series, different weapons still do different things.
That's
so-
what I meant. Okay.
You're this big beefy dude, and the game's like, that's what you could be if you finish the game. And it's like, back to level 1. And it's like, okay, fine, let's do that. But back to Sly 3.
Well, I mean, yeah, sorry.
So, game starts, you talk to, this is the Walrus, by the way. The Walrus tells you about the vault.
Oh, so not
Murray.
Murray.
No. If you see, that's a
Not
hippo.
the hippo.
So he's wearing a belt.
Definitely hippo.
His cheeks are so big.
There's no tusks.
He has like the little.
Those are teeth,
The little
man.
hippo teeth?
Just going with the
He
game.
has fists.
Going with the game.
This walruses can have fists.
No, they have flippers.
Going with the game.
Okay.
He has feet.
Guys, just leave me alone.
Okay, so
You have to bring back the game.
this game did one thing really well. Was its hub worlds. They all had a really good theme that they really played up. Like in the first game, they kind of just had a base theme and kind of just built levels around it. But in Sly 3, it feels like the hub world is its own world. Like you could have a whole game set in these levels.
Yeah.
Like my favorite one was Holland, where they had like the little village area. They had these big open fields. They had the big windmills. But I think that might have just been my favorite because they had dogfighting. Dogfighting was fun. like in the plains.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
Clarification.
clarification.
Had to
It really helped.
Illegal dog fights. That's what you love about the game.
I was like, that's an interesting way to put in a child's game.
But every level felt really, really expansive and really fleshed out. And that's something I didn't think either of the other two games really did all that well. Like 2 definitely did it better, but 3 made the hub worlds really good. But it was shorter than 2, longer than 1 though, but it was shorter than 2. And 2 really had kind of a really good length. The only problem was the 2 extra levels of bosses that you really didn't need.
They should have just introduced 2 different villains.
Yeah. In the second game, if they had taken out those two bosses that had double levels and just wiped out their second level and put new bosses in, it would have been better. But this game also has a lot more important characters in each level. Like, in Sly 1 and 2, the only really important character was the boss. But each level in Sly 3 has 2 or 3 noticeable, memorable, recognizable characters that play a role in the story. It's not just grunts and boss. Like in the Holland level, Mugshot, the Tommy shooting bulldog from the first game, he comes back and he's part of the plot. Carmelita's there. The person you earn from that level is there and they're memorable. And then the boss is memorable. They're all important and they all contribute to the feel of the level. And that happens in each level. There's more than one important character. And that was one thing that was really different from the other games. But aside from that, it all really stayed the same. Like, the biggest other thing from it was Murray and Bentley both got new things to do. Like, Sly pretty much stayed the same. He still had his whole parkouring up on the rooftops, sneaky style of doing things. They added stealth knockdowns in Sly 2 Gibson, I forgot to mention. Like, you could actually be stealthy.
Mm-hmm. Was pickpocketing always there? We haven't really been talking about
I think
it.
pickpocketing was started in 3. I don't think it was in 2.
I remember pickpocketing too.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't play a lot of 1, so I don't know.
It did not have it in 1.
I don't think
It was not in 1.
But I definitely remember it in 2 because
Okay.
it was like, I don't know about like any upgrades or something, but I know you could definitely get coins from the people. And I always like, on my way to do reconnaissance, I'd be like, I'm gonna steal from this guy.
I'm gonna steal from this guy. You'd always see like the shiny back pocket and be like, that guy's got loot. Oh, I totally forgot to mention about loot. So in the first game, coins got you Lucky Charms. They got you extra hits. In the second, third, and fourth games, the coins are actually used as a currency to buy, like, abilities. Like, you remember in the first game, you had to get the clue bottles to open the safe to get the abilities?
Right.
And this, you just outright buy them with the coins. And you can get coins from pickpocketing, regular enemy drops when you
So
kill
don't
them.
remember abilities between games.
No, you don't.
Sly
Yeah,
is
smart
an idiot.
raccoon.
Not a smart raccoon. Bentley's a smart one, and he gets crippled, so he has to learn his abilities all over again. So, you would buy abilities. And actually, gives another thing is, in the first game, you can only have one ability equipped at one time. In the second, third game, you can have 3 abilities equipped at one time. It was like the L1, L2, and R2 were all abilities. R1 did something else. Sprint. R1 was sprint. But I don't remember where I was going.
I'm sorry.
For some reason, you get 3 now instead of 1.
Right, because you have the extra space and they learned how to make the game good.
Extra space.
As 1 or 3 opposed to 1.
Right, they just had the extra space on the controller.
Oh,
Oh,
because
I'm
I was
sorry.
thinking
Yeah,
like
never
the
mind.
first
My bad.
game was still on the PS2, so
Like,
you
I
still
guess
had
they had
the
the
same
space, they just didn't use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't know how or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Did Sly 3 introduce any other mechanics? We talked about reconnaissance a little bit. We went back to pickpocketing and stealth takedowns. Is there anything else?
The Bentley and the Murray things. Bentley has a wheelchair now, so that adds like extra space for gadgets. Like before, he just had his dinky little double jump, but now he has like jetpacks on his wheelchair and stuff. So he's like and like fly way up. One important plot point was when Bentley got crippled and Murray left the gang. He like went to Australia to like meditate and shit, but he came back and he was like an Aborigine and he had like this special ball form, and that added a bunch of new gameplay mechanics. Like you could like bounce real high up because you're a hippo and you could turn into a ball. And, you know,
Okay.
give us a listen.
I just the connection of he's an Aborigine now, so he can turn into a ball.
Well, like
Doesn't really connect for me.
what do you know about Aborigines?
I guess I don't know that much.
He's lived for 1 billion years because he hates everyone.
Yeah.
It's just science.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
it
yeah,
works.
it's exactly. It's just science.
It's just science. But yeah, 3 was really good. It's not as good as 2. I just wish it was better.
Okay. So,
So Sly 4, the only good thing, or the only thing memorable about Sly 4 was the story. Like, none of the mechanics really changed all that much, except that you could play as different Coopers. Like, that was really their big thing. They didn't have extra characters added into your gang. It was like, the premise was you were traveling through time, obviously. So, thieves and time travel. Yeah, time travel. It's not like on a watch, you had a bunch of thieves. But you would go back to these different times and play as these different Coopers. And the whole reason they're time traveling is actually kind of interesting because at the end of part 3, or the end of game 3, Sly has amnesia because final boss fight takes place in a cave collapses, boom, amnesia. Except he's faking it.
Wait a minute, what?
Wait, did that just come out of too far left field for you, Matthew?
No, it's just like I didn't realize Sly was so much of a cock.
Now
He
listen,
was only pretending.
he was like pretending.
Can you
But-
give me the reason why? I don't care if you spoil it.
Well,
So he could get together with Carmelita.
yes. Because,
What a total...
listen.
If
No,
he's,
no, no,
if
no,
he's
listen,
not a
listen,
criminal, he
listen,
can
listen.
get
So-
the wife.
So, when the ball collapsed, he was kind of just like, alright, man, I'm done with this thief stuff. Whoa, who am I? And Carmelita's like, yo, you're my partner. And they're like, okay. So then in part 4, they're like a thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't think they're married. But they're definitely a thing.
They're hooking up, yeah.
They hooking up on the reg. But then Sly's like, man, I really want to get back into that thieving stuff. But Carmelita catches him. And he's like, oh, shit, dog. So he gets back with the gang and they book it out of there. But the main reason that he can get with the gang is because Bentley is searching for Sly. But the reason that Bentley is searching for Sly is because Bentley has the Thievius Raccoonus.
Okay.
And the pages are disappearing. It's like,
But
what?
then erased previously in time.
Yeah. So
I hate
Bentley's
time
like,
travel.
okay, so someone must be like scrubbing out the Coopers from history. We gotta check that shit out. So he goes against Sly, who's conveniently getting caught
Yeah.
and totally ruining his thing. And so they
What
can.
was he caught stealing?
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what he was caught stealing. It must not have been something very good, but he would have been much more careful. But anyway,
Or Carmelita's just that good.
Carly's not good at all. She hasn't been able to catch Sly in 3 games. Only
Think
reason
about
she
how many
caught
heists
Sly.
you've pulled and how many hub worlds you've been in.
Yeah, that's
She didn't
true.
catch you in any of them.
I always thought that was just for like plot relevancy. It's just like she's only gonna be as good as we make her.
I mean,
Pretty much.
she caught somebody. She caught somebody every time.
She caught the weakened person that you just popped.
Hey, in Sly Cooper 2, she even let people go.
That's true.
She couldn't even catch them.
That's
And
true.
you gotta fight them again.
She did let 2 people go.
So you can even say that you hate her because you had to go and fight people again.
That's true. And I'll live 1 billion years because I
If she
hate her.
was, if she was okay.
That's what the game teaches.
Hate, you live forever. Until you get your hate chip taken out. Woo. But Thieves in Time, they go back in time to try and stop the Coopers from being taken out of history. So it's really cool to play as the other Coopers because they have the same abilities
Yeah.
that Sly does, but they have like new abilities too. Like one is like in the Wild West. And the move you learn from the Wild West guy is like a rail slide and a rail walk. So you can like walk on the twigs in the voodoo world and all that. But he has like guns. So it's a new little mechanic to combat.
Yeah.
So everyone has something like that. I know Ryuichi Cooper, the Japanese ninja, she has a move she can like zoom from point to point. When before you can only like jump and spin in a limited range.
Yeah.
She can like boom, point, and then zoom to that point. It adds platforming options. and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's a little different.
That's pretty cool.
It basically just does what 3 did in adding a bunch of characters, except they're more on the Sly side of things. Instead of their own kind of thing,
Yeah. Instead of like
instead of being niche, they kind of fit more.
instead of being like stealth or being stealth, beat 'em up, or like Bentley.
Pretty good way to put it.
It's just pretty much all stealth.
Pretty much all stealth, except for like obviously the guns aren't very stealthy.
Yeah.
It just kind of adds a new combat mechanic, but they all still have the same like stealth moves.
Yeah. Basic concept.
But Sly 4 was all really good. Like it all kind of fit with what Sly 2 and 3 had done, except for the ending. It's awful.
Are we gonna have a Sly 5?
I hope so.
Oh, okay.
Nothing's been
can
announced.
you- based on the ending, would you predict a Sly 5?
But the ending cutscene's not really my
I
problem.
was gonna say, you're not giving me anything, dude.
It was the boss fight was the problem. The boss fight was a quick time event, and I hated it. It was the worst
you
thing
told
ever.
me about that.
Because they don't even make it a blatant quick time event. You have to kind of figure out that you're in a quick time event.
You're like,
you're
why
like-
can't I do this?
You're like sitting there trying to fight the dude, and you're not winning, and you're like, what the heck, game? Give me something here. And then you realize, oh, this is a quick time event. Bop, 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 I won.
That's so stupid.
And there weren't any QuickTime events previously.
Nope.
Oh, that's
They just
so
sprung it on you.
The
dumb.
one-time mechanic.
One time mechanic comes at the very end, and is only there
That's
because
like,
stupid.
yeah, I can't emphasize enough how much I hate that, like, not being thematic. It's, at the end, like, that was the final boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
Period.
Yep.
It's dumb.
It was pretty
What do you
dumb.
mean they introduced a new mechanic all the way through the game?
Yeah, dude, we were talking
You were learning things at the end of the game.
No, I was the one that said I didn't want that. I said, like, probably about halfway through to the end of the game, you should probably stop teaching your player new mechanics.
Quick time events aren't even teaching someone something.
I mean, if
It's
you're
the
doing it the
one-time
first
thing.
time, you have to learn to do the quick time.
Is it even a different quick time? Because I know you, like, you told me you struggled with it for a while. I was like, what am I doing wrong? And then you realize, is it the same combination every time?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I just remember I'd hit the guy. He wouldn't. I don't think they had a health bar or anything. I'd hit the guy, and it would go basically right back to what we were doing. Like I think we were both standing on like some sort of rail, and we were like sword fighting, whatever,
Fencing or something.
fencing with my cane, and I would poke him, and he'd be like, "Ugh, back to it then. And I remember I did it like 10 times. I hit him and I was like, what's going on? You had to hit him a certain way by doing a certain thing. And I'm like, that was not telegraphed at all. You just kind of made that happen by me doing the other thing a lot and realizing it didn't work. Like, hey man, you hit the guy like 10 times.
Want to try something else?
Try hitting him in a different place. And I'm like, come on man, it's not even like, this isn't fun. You made your game not fun.
If they could telegraph it by how he was guarding, like in Skyward Sword. Have you played Skyward Sword?
No, but I've seen them play it, and I know what you're talking about.
With the pirate that you have to fight and everything. Depending on how he guards, you know which move you need to use.
They've even done that in other Sly games. They had like a pirate sword fight, and he would like guard low, so you'd hit him high. You'd guard high, you hit him low. But they just didn't do it. Is it time to mention this game was developed by a different studio?
Why didn't you say that in the first place?
I just remember.
That's a pretty important.
That's so important.
So the first 3 games were made by Sucker Punch.
Okay.
The 4th game was made by Sanzaru Games. And Sanzaru Games did the HD re-release of the first 3 games on PlayStation 3. I think they made the second best Sly Cooper game.
That's pretty interesting considering how much you hate the final boss.
Hate the final boss. The rest of the game is awesome.
No.
Because it's basically like exactly what I say with Sly 3, like, oh, they made the worlds bigger and better. They just did the same thing in this. Except this one was on PS3, so they had a bit more of an excuse.
Yeah.
Of like, hey man, we can do better now.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you're on a better system.
It's way past due now, but I was gonna say that's probably my favorite mini boss from Skyward Sword, the pirate guy.
Oh, the pirate guy.
Yeah, he's really cool. Just like the mechanics on him, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, the different studio though, that's really, really weird. That is like,
If you just played the game, you probably wouldn't be able to tell.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like up until that point, it's just like up until the end boss, it's like everything you said like kind of feels the same from Sly 3 almost.
It all felt
Was
really.
Sucker Punch bought out?
No, they just were doing another. They were doing like Uncharted. No, that was Naughty Dog. They were doing other games.
And they just let some other company take over?
Well, they brought a prototype game, and they were like, "That looks pretty good," and they're like, "Can we do it?" And Sucker Punch and Sony are like, "Yeah, go ahead. We're not doing anything with it." And they're like, "Thanks, Dad." And then they messed up the final boss, and I'm like,
I mean, everything else is good though.
everything
so
else was good.
As far as how you'd rate it, you'd say 2, 4, 3, 1.
I'd say number 2 is the best, followed by number 4, followed by number 3, and then number 1. Number 1 was really
This is
not
too basic.
great. It's too basic.
Too formulaic.
Yeah.
Too basic, too
You
simple,
stop
too
being
formulaic.
Stop being mean. I was here first.
No.
All that basic, like, game making 101 was just slapped in there. Like, make it easy to understand, make it simple, and make it feel good to win. It's like, yay, I got the key. Now I can progress. It was all very, very easy.
Yeah.
Number 4 was really good, though. Number 2 was better.
The only reason I can agree is because I beat 2.
I don't think I've beaten a single one.
Did they take any of the mechanics out? So they added reconnaissance. Did they keep that in the other games?
I can't remember if they kept reconnaissance. No, they kept reconnaissance before. I think they tweaked it a little bit, because usually you would send in Sly to do that.
Yeah.
Because he had his little camera, but in the other games, 3 and 4 specifically, you could send in Bentley, because he had like remote control shit. So you tweaked it a little bit. It wasn't much. They added little things like Bentley hacking stuff in number 3, number 4, maybe 2 also, I don't remember. I don't think they ever took anything out. Aside from 1 to 2, they took out Lucky Charms because it was irrelevant because you took more than one hit.
Yeah.
I don't think much was taken out between games.
Overall, it's a solid series.
Solid.
They learned from stuff in 1, improved on it, and
they
improved
kinda-
on it so good that they couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably, I don't know if we had that many. So Paper Mario, we'd said, kind of declined in quality, I would say.
Did we do Paper Mario?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've done a
Did
lot of
we?
episodes.
I don't remember discussing it.
Yeah, we discussed Paper Mario, but
Oh my
the only
gosh,
reason I
where
bring
was
that
I?
up, Only reason I bring that up: Paper Mario, Resident Evil. I don't remember if we said it with Splinter Cell, but basically the main theme of all of those discussions was stop making your games bad. Like, stop letting them decline.
I mean, I remember specifically Resident Evil was like, man, you're doing really good. About the fourth game, man, really good. And now it's like, oh my goodness, what are you doing?
Well,
So, but it's the opposite with this. It's like, oh man, that was only alright.
well, I guess it was
I
kind of
think-
like that. No,
I think
it's
in
like,
retrospect, during the times, like Cooper 1 was really good.
At the time, yeah.
well,
it just doesn't hold
that's,
up.
That's like a discussion. Maybe that can be next week's discussion, everybody. Maybe we can talk about playability and lastability and whether or not a game is good whether it comes out or people just think it's good because they haven't had it before. It's like you have this really, really nice chocolate cake and like keep with it, guys.
You had me a chocolate cake, man. You better finish
I'm
this.
listening.
You have like this nice chocolate cake, but it's all bare and you have like it's like there's no icing.
Is it really a nice chocolate cake then?
Yeah. Chocolate cake is always nice. You got no icing. It's just a chocolate cake.
Oh my goodness, that sounds bad.
No, it sounds good. It's like moist.
That sounds like a bad brownie.
Let's just go on.
through.
Keep going.
But you have it, and you give it to someone for the first time. Like, say I gave it to Skylar, her first piece of cake ever. She's like, oh my god, this is sugar. This is so good. But then I put, like, what's your favorite kind of icing? I don't care.
Just put icing on it.
I put icing on it, put, like, some fruit on it, maybe. And
Fruit on my cake?
Like cherry, like a
Dang it, man.
or
I mean,
strawberry, whatever.
Get
Whatever.
out of here.
That's why I asked
Strawberries
you
on
what
a
you
chocolate
wanted.
cake?
That's why I asked you what you wanted.
Sprinkles.
Dude,
You make
coconut.
it. You make it better, and then you give it to them, and they're like, "Why didn't you give this to me the first time?" And it was like, "I didn't have the ingredients," and it's
Or
just
I
like,
didn't know how.
or you didn't know how.
See,
But in retrospect, it was good at the time. But was it ever really? Because you had chocolate cake, but you could have gone to the store and bought icing.
no, see,
I just didn't.
I think the only reason we were able to progress to the second and third and fourth game is because the first game showed that the concept and the idea of this type of stealth platformer was something that people wanted.
It was interesting.
Because you wouldn't want to bring the first game and invest too much in it, and people go, "This was a stupid
Now-
idea. Why did you go into it so deeply?"
Now I can totally agree with you there. Something like Sly, it's just like they tried it and it worked out. There was a huge interest in it,
So they just expanded on it.
and I can agree to that. That's agreeable. It's just when people come up to me and tell me it's like, or not come up to me. If I ask someone and be like, "What's your favorite Zelda game?" and then it's like, they're like Ocarina of Time, and I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, it was the first 3D Zelda. And that's not their only reason, trust me. I'm just watering it down a lot so we have a lot to talk about next week. But like, something like that, I'm just like, you're so bad.
You're so
No,
What's your favorite Zelda game?
Bad.
Ocarina of Time. I immediately disregard your opinion.
Well, no, it's once they say something like, oh, because it was the first 3D Zelda.
one.
It was the first, it was the Dan says this to me all the time. He's like, it's the Pioneer. And I'm just like, Pioneers are stupid.
That's
Like, they're not always stupid.
Pioneers
Or
used
did you
to
say bring it
ride
back
these
in?
Reel it
babies
back
from
in.
Yeah,
the
we'll bring
back.
it back in.
This can
Sorry.
definitely be a discussion
Yeah.
for next week.
Yeah,
or
we'll do this
something.
next week.
Anyway,
Sorry.
so I
get
want a
fired.
Sly Cooper 5 because I think they could do even more with it. It could be so good.
We can fit it into like the last couple of minutes because I still want to do Sunday in review as like part of this, but like talk about the movie.
The
I don't know
movie.
anything
Talk
about
about
the movie.
This movie looks so bad.
There's a movie coming out, guys.
There's a trailer for it. You can go watch it, but it just looks so bad. And I don't even mean like the movie as a whole looks like it won't be very good. I just mean like the CG looks terrible. It looks like they're trying to go too hard on the CG. They're adding like so much detail, and it's like you don't need that much detail, man.
It's film noir looks different.
It, ugh.
Is it kind of like the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Oh god.
Like how they just changed the image?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I really didn't like that CG. that was really bad in my opinion.
Also, I think they changed Bentley's design a little bit, and that bothers me.
Yeah.
But
Probably change voice actors.
He's not even a turtle anymore.
He's a tortoise.
he's a tortoise.
I was gonna say.
Wait, seriously?
Oh no.
No.
I was just
That's what it was.
Murray's a walrus, man.
This is a joke, man.
But this movie looks like it looks visually bad. But I'm gonna go see it definitely, and cross my fingers that it's not terrible.
Is it going to be following one of the game storylines, or is it?
I don't. There's
independent?
only the one trailer that's come out, and not really any other information.
What if they're just not doing Sly Cooper 5 and this is the storyline that 5 would have been?
Don't say that. You're gonna make Connor
That's-
sad.
You're making me cry. Gibbs.
Would you really want to just see a rehash of an older game then?
Well, if they like made it
Well, I was-
completely
like I was
different
saying,
from
like,
3 and 4,
Is it going to be the same storyline as 2 or something, or
I don't know.
just independent entirely?
I mean, I would just go
Apparently,
play
we don't have
2.
enough information.
I don't know.
Yet to determine that.
um,
Yeah. Is there anything else that we want to say about Sly Cooper?
Fantastic game series. Needs
Really?
to continue. I love it.
I like it too. I didn't like the first one. I really don't. But it improved a lot.
When going back and playing it, I'm like, this game's not great, but I know the other ones are.
just like I guess the only thing I would want to say is like I'm really happy we had a discussion where it wasn't like the games went up and then they went back down, and then it's like it went up and it kind of plateaued. But that's better. That's better than just like shooting straight back down.
It's
Because like
man, you made the game so
Selling out,
good.
Not knowing,
And then you
forgetting
missed it.
what game you are. kind
Yeah.
of thing.
yeah, just like Resident Evil, it's like, oh, you were a zombie game. You were really hard. You were like so hard to play, and it's like you made it kind of more into action, but you're still a zombie. You're still like really hard to play.
And now you've gone full Gears of War.
Yeah, and that's just like
You never
You
go
lost.
full Gears of War.
No. See, I initially liked Sly Cooper, but I played myself out of the series. It was a little too monotonous for me. So I played a lot of 2, got up straight to the end boss. Then I had to return my rental.
oh,
And I
that's
I
so
was,
sad.
and then I played the 3rd game, and I was like, eh.
It's not as good as 2.
And basically, I just quit from there.
It happens.
So what you're saying is you're a quitter.
I mean, pretty much. That's a lot of my early gaming career could be quitting at the very end.
Alright, so nothing else is going to be said. Alright, tomorrow, I guess today. Today is Man Monday, followed by Titanium Tuesday. You guys all know the schedule. But I'll be streaming. And then next Sunday, we are going to have... We'll figure out some kind of talk. We'll figure out a name for it. But it'll probably be about last ability, playability, and whether or not pioneers are stupid.
I mean, they rode rocks
Underwater.
underwater for
This is-
miles.
This was Table for 4 with
Matthew,
Connor.
Gavin.
and Gibson.
and we will see you all next